Welcome back to the deep dive. We're here to look at the source code of, well, human behavior and see how it plays out in the world. And today, we are cracking open something I think pretty much everyone gets. That instant magnetic pull of video games. You know how it goes. You think, okay, just 15 minutes, maybe on your phone, maybe console, whatever. Then you blink, and boom, the whole evening, gone. That feeling, that just one more level thing,
Yeah.
that's not an accident, right? It's designed.
Oh, absolutely. It's totally engineered. For this deep dive, we really dug into the mechanics behind player retention. You know, how designers make sure you don't just play for an hour, but well, you can't put it down for months. Our mission today is to look past the cool graphics and the sound and see the psychological levers, the things that actually work. And what we found is that these really successful games, they tap into like three basic human cravings. We crave validation, we crave mastery, and we crave meaning.
Validation, mastery, meaning, okay, those sound like the core pillars. So let's unpack this blueprint. We're going to start with the most basic one, maybe the most powerful, reward loops. Then we'll get into that zone,
Yeah.
the flow state. And finally, how designers build these worlds that just suck you in immersion. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Let's start with the engine.
Right, the chemical driver.
Yeah.
The reward loop. The sources we looked at were clear. Good game design means you never go too long without some kind of win. A point, a shiny object, whatever. Every little thing you do successfully, it triggers feedback.
Yeah, and the psychology there, it's a bit more nuanced than just saying, dopamine feels good. Yes, you get that little hit of dopamine, the satisfaction chemical, when you achieve something. But game designers, they're often way more interested in what we call anticipatory dopamine.
Anticipatory dopamine. Huh. So the expectation is more important than actually getting the thing? Why is that?
Because that's the craving chemical. That's what drives motivation, the pursuit. Satisfaction dopamine is after you get the reward. Anticipatory dopamine is when you just see the possibility of it. Think about it. The sound of an incoming item drop, a treasure chest slowly opening, that little shimmer on a rare piece of gear.
Yeah, okay.
Games are masters at constantly triggering that anticipation. It keeps you looking, keeps you playing, not just sitting back feeling satisfied.
That makes a ton of sense. It's the promise that keeps your thumbs moving. And this connects to something called variable reinforcement schedules, right? That seems crucial for making games really sticky.
Precisely. That's a key concept.
Yeah.
Look, if I give you 1 coin every single time you defeat an enemy that's a fixed schedule, you'll probably stop when you get bored or when you have enough coins. But what if I give you, say, a really rare, powerful item, but only sometimes? Maybe after 2 enemies, maybe after 50. You can't predict it.
So you keep going.
You keep grinding. It's basically the same principle as a slot machine. The uncertainty is addictive.
Okay, so it's that mix. You get the constant little rewards, coins, points, whatever, that keep you feeling like you're making progress. But layered on top is the chance of a big, high-value payout, and you never know when it's coming. That's what keeps the loop spinning almost indefinitely.
Exactly. It builds a powerful habit loop.
Yeah.
You're not really playing because you rationally decided you need that item anymore. You're playing because this pattern, this intermittent reward thing, it's created a kind of compulsion. Just got to see it through this one more time.
Okay, powerful stuff. So moving on from that immediate chemical thrill, let's talk about the second pillar, challenge, which, when it's tuned just right, leads to that feeling you mentioned earlier, the flow state. This is where time just melts away.
Right. And challenge isn't just about making things hard. It's about controlled difficulty. It has to match where the player is at, skill-wise. All the sources point to this. Great games start easy. They have to teach you the basics, the language of the game. But then that difficulty curve has to ramp up very precisely.
Because if it gets too hard too fast.
You quit. Frustration.
And if it's too easy.
You're at boredom. It's a razor-thin edge they have to walk.
So how do designers actually manage that? How do they keep you right on that edge?
Well, one key way is by managing cognitive load. It's not just about making the enemies hit harder or whatever. It's often about introducing something new for your brain to handle. A new enemy type with a tricky pattern. Maybe a new movement skill, a new resource you have to track.
Okay.
And then crucially, the game immediately gives you a chance to practice and master that new thing.
Yeah.
So you feel competent again quickly. That cycle struggle, learn, succeed, feel competent, then face a slightly new struggle. That's basically what keeps you in flow. Flow, yeah, that term comes from Midhole Csikszentmihalyi.
Yeah.
So when you're just completely absorbed, you lose track of time, you're not self-conscious. Why? Because the goals are super clear in the moment, the feedback on your actions is immediate, and the challenge level is perfectly stretching your abilities.
Pushing you, but not overwhelming you.
Exactly. Think of a platformer nailing a really tricky sequence of jumps. That's flow. Or a complex strategy game. You have just enough info to make the next crucial decision, but the outcome isn't guaranteed. Here, the struggle itself, the act of overcoming, that's the reward.
Right, I see the difference now. The reward loop is more about the dopamine hit for the outcome, like getting the treasure. But flow is more about the satisfaction of the process, making the perfect jump, executing the flawless combo. You feel unstoppable because you're actually mastering something.
Precisely. And that feeling of competence, that sense of, I'm good at this, I can overcome these obstacles,
Hmm.
that taps into a really fundamental psychological need. Good design makes sure you, the player, feel responsible for your success, not just lucky.
Which brings us nicely to the third driver, immersion. So reward loops give us the drive, the momentum. Flow state gives us that intense focus. But what makes us stick around? What makes us feel invested enough to actually care about this game world and come back day after day? That's immersion, right? Building the world.
Yeah, and immersion is often kind of reduced to just great graphics or a good story.
Yeah.
And look, those definitely help. But real deep game immersion, the kind that creates loyalty, it's about creating a persistent space where your actions feel like they matter, where they have weight. This taps into our need for meaning, for belonging.
Our sources mention something called self-determination theory here. The idea that humans need competence, relatedness, and autonomy. How does a game world deliver on those?
Well, it offers a kind of perfect substitute sometimes. In the game, you can often find total autonomy. You pick your quests, customize your character, decide how you want to play.
Okay.
Competence, we just talked about that, flow and rewards deliver that feeling constantly. And relatedness? Well, that can come from playing with friends, joining guilds, or even just feeling connected to the games world and its ongoing story or community.
But hang on, if autonomy and meaning are so important, what about those super simple mobile games? The hyper-casual ones, they often have almost no story, just a basic loop. Why are they so incredibly sticky? Seems like that goes against the need for deep immersion.
Ah, that's a great question. And it highlights a really important distinction. We need to separate systemic immersion from narrative immersion.
Systemic versus narrative, okay.
Hyper-casual games are masters of systemic immersion. The world itself might be simple, but the rules of that world, the physics, how scoring works, the upgrade paths, they're perfectly consistent, understandable, and let you feel in control. You become deeply immersed in mastering the system. Even if there's no grand story pulling you along, your mastery is over the mechanics themselves.
Interesting. So like a simple puzzle game where the blocks always fall predictably according to clear rules. That's immersive not because of lore, but because you completely understand and can manipulate the system. You're immersed in the logic.
It's exactly right. A big, complex RPG uses narrative immersion, the story, the characters, to make you care. A hyper-casual game uses systemic immersion, the rules, the scoring, optimizing your strategy to make you care about your high score or getting further. Both provide a sense of meaning and purpose, just within their own defined boundaries.
Okay, this is where it gets really practical, I think. Once you understand these pillars, the reward loop, the flow state challenge, the immersion, whether systemic or narrative, you realize these aren't just happy accidents. Good designers are using these patterns consciously. They're repeatable.
It totally shifts how you look at games, doesn't it? You go from just being a player, a consumer, to being almost an analyst of motivation. You start just playing and you start seeing the underlying mechanisms.
Yeah, you see why something feels good.
Right.
Could you maybe give us a quick comparison? Like, how does this formula apply differently in, say, very different genres?
Sure. Let's take a modern competitive shooter.
Yeah.
Fast-paced. The reward loop is lightning fast. Instant feedback. The sound of a successful hit, the points flashing up, unlocking a cosmetic item like a weapon skin.
Right. Immediate payoff.
Totally. The challenge. That comes from skill-based matchmaking. It tries to keep you right on that edge in that flow state, constantly tested but not crushed. And the immersion. It's almost purely systemic. Mastering the map layouts, knowing the weapon stats, coordinating with your team, you're immersed in the gameplay systems.
Okay, makes sense. Now, contrast that with something totally different, like a really complex strategy game, a big 4X title maybe.
Okay, yeah. Big difference. The reward loop there, it's much slower, often heavily delayed, but the payoffs are huge. Finishing a wonder, researching a key technology that changes everything.
Takes ages, but feels massive.
Exactly. The challenge is immense cognitive load. You're juggling economies, armies, diplomacy, research, dozens of things at once. And the immersion, much more narrative, or at least thematic. You become the leader of this civilization. Your choices feel like they have real weight, shaping history over hundreds of turns.
So the core psychological principles are the same: reward, challenge, immersion, but how they're implemented, the pacing, the scale,
Yeah,
completely different.
precisely.
What's really striking here is how understanding this changes your perspective if you're thinking about making games. When you understand why that jump feels good, you see it's not just the jump itself. It's the sound effect they chose, the little particle burst visual, the immediate feedback that you landed. It all works together. It's like
Yeah,
behavioral engineering almost, not just coding.
it really is. I think the real power of being a designer is realizing you're not just building features, you're crafting emotions. You're directing attention. You're tapping into these deep, universal human needs for progress,
Yeah.
for feeling competent, for finding meaning, whether you're making a huge AAA console epic or a tiny mobile game, connecting with those fundamental motivations. That's what makes game design, I think, such a fascinating and powerful creative act.
So let's quickly recap our deep dive then. Games get us hooked. They achieve that incredible stickiness because, one, they deliver immediate, often variable rewards, playing on our brain's anticipation circuits.
The dopamine loop.
Two, they keep us intensely focused by carefully balancing challenge against our skill, inducing that flow state, and satisfying our need for mastery.
Right, that feeling of competence.
And three, they create lasting investment through either compelling worlds and stories or incredibly well-defined and understandable systems fulfilling our needs for meaning and autonomy.
Nailed it. Those are the core ingredients. So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. The next time you feel that pull, that, okay, just one more round feeling, maybe just pause for a second. Don't just play it, analyze it. Try to spot the loop. Is the reward predictable or is it variable? Are you feeling that intense focus of flow? Which need is it really scratching for you right now? Autonomy, competence, maybe reloadedness?
That's a great challenge. Become the analyst of your own play. And
Okay.
then take it one step further. Imagine being the person who actually designs that feeling for someone else, who builds that satisfaction, engineers that perfect challenge, crafts that joy from the ground up. That, when you think about it, is the real power waiting for anyone who wants to become a game creator.